Welcome back, everybody, for another deep dive. This time, we're going to be looking at something that's really kind of blurring the lines between science fiction and reality.
Yeah.
And that is, we're talking about artificial intelligence and physics simulations and the potential here. It's pretty amazing.
Yeah. It's really exciting stuff. We're going to be diving into something called Project Genesis. This is a pretty big research project, over 20 different labs working together for 2 years. And what they came up with is a generative physics engine. And this is where things get really interesting.
Okay, so generative physics engine, that sounds pretty intense. Can you kind of like break that down a little bit for us? What does that even mean?
Sure, yeah. So basically imagine like a world, a virtual world where all the rules of physics are just like they are in real life. So gravity, friction, velocity, force, everything's perfectly calculated. It's almost like a video game, but on like hyperdrive.
Yeah.
Where everything's reacting realistically.
Right, so it's not just like animation. We're talking
Yeah.
about like truly
Yeah.
simulated. Yeah, it's almost like making a digital twin
Yeah,
of our physical world.
exactly. Yeah. And what's really remarkable is the control that they give you in this engine. You can adjust all kinds of stuff, like the camera angles or the way things move. It opens up tons of possibilities, not just for like research and design, but even for like entertainment.
Yeah, that's really interesting. And the thing that really kind of blew me away was the speed. I mean, they developed this thing using Python, and it's reportedly like way faster, like 10 to 80 times faster than some of these leading AI assistants that we hear about all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty incredible. And that speed is super important, especially when you're dealing with these complex simulations
Right.
where there's so many different things interacting with each other. And another really important thing about Project Genesis is that it's completely open source. So all the code is available on GitHub, which means anyone can access it, change it, add to it, build on it.
Yeah, that's really cool. It's almost like it democratizes this technology. So you have all these researchers and developers and even just like hobbyists from all over the world that can kind of work together and, really push the boundaries of what's possible.
Yeah, exactly. It's a really cool example of how collaboration is driving innovation in
Yeah.
this field. And speaking of innovation, one area where Project Genesis is already making a big impact is in robotics. This engine is like perfect for training robots in virtual environments.
That's right. They're calling it a unified physics simulation platform. And, it's really changing the way we develop and train robots. And before we get too far into that, just a reminder to everyone to subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can stay up to date on all the latest advancements in this really exciting field.
Yeah, definitely. But going back to what we were talking about, the really revolutionary thing here is the way they combined AI and physics with this engine. And that lets it generate tons of data that can be used to train robots so that we end up with these smarter, more adaptable machines that can do more complex things in the real world.
I'm thinking about one particular demonstration that really highlights this. They had this little miniature version of Wukong, that character from the popular video game. And they simulated him doing all these crazy moves.
Yeah, that was awesome. It really shows you how detailed and fluid this engine can be. You see Wukong running and jumping, swinging his staff. It all looks so real. And the way the camera moves around him, it's so smooth. Different angles, you can pause it, rotate the scene. It's like directing a big budget action film. But it's all in a virtual environment.
Yeah, it's amazing. And they can do all this stuff with a level of control that's pretty mind-blowing. They can adjust the lighting, the physics, the camera angles, like with incredible precision.
Yeah, and you can imagine how much time and money this could save for the film industry.
Exactly. And think about all the other industries that could benefit from this, like architecture, engineering, product design.
You could create prototypes and test them out in these simulations before you even build anything in the real world.
Right. So you could find any flaws, you could refine your designs.
And it would really speed up the whole development process.
Yeah, streamline innovation across like a whole bunch of different industries. And it's not just about like practical applications. Think about the possibilities for education. Imagine learning physics, not just from textbooks and diagrams, but by actually interacting with these like hyper-realistic simulations.
Yeah, that would be incredible. It could make these complex scientific concepts so much easier to understand.
Yeah, like you could actually experience the laws of motion firsthand.
Project Genesis could totally transform education, and it could lead to a whole new way of learning, where students are actually exploring and experimenting, instead of just passively taking in information.
Yeah, and let's not forget about the potential for people to create their own content. I mean, the source material talked about a future where anyone could use this technology
Yeah.
to make their own videos.
Right. It's like putting the power of a Hollywood studio in the hands of everyday people.
Yeah, it's a really powerful concept. And it makes you think about all the broader societal implications of this technology. We hear a lot about the potential dangers of AI, but this project really shows the positive side, like how it can empower people, foster creativity, and really push the boundaries of what humans can do.
Yeah, it's a good reminder that technology isn't inherently good or bad. It all depends on how we choose to use it.
Right, and I think the fact that Project Genesis is open source really encourages a more responsible and transparent and a collaborative approach to its development.
Absolutely. By bringing together this global community of developers and researchers and enthusiasts, we're increasing the chances that this technology will be used for good.
And that's really exciting to think about. What kind of world we could build with this technology? A world where science is more accessible, creativity is limitless.
And the line between the virtual and the real is constantly blurring.
It's a future full of possibilities.
But it also comes with some big questions. As this technology gets more advanced, we need to be having some serious conversations about the ethical implications and make sure we're using it responsibly.
Yeah, we need to be thinking about things like bias, unintended consequences,
And making sure that everyone benefits from this technology.
not just a select few.
These conversations are super important, and we need to make sure that everyone has a voice, people from all different backgrounds and perspectives.
Because ultimately, the future that we create with Project Genesis is a collective responsibility.
Exactly, and that brings us to our listeners. You're not just watching this unfold, you have a role to play in shaping this future.
Absolutely. So we encourage you to learn about this technology, ask questions,
Mm-hmm.
and share your own ideas.
Yeah. This isn't just about being amazed by the wow factor. It's about understanding the implications of this technology and helping to guide its development.
The future is happening right now, and it's up to all of us to make sure it's a future we can be proud of.
Well said. It's been a great conversation, and I hope our listeners are feeling inspired and excited about the power of human ingenuity.
Yeah, me too.
Hmm.
And on that note, we're going to wrap up this deep dive, but we encourage you to keep exploring and learning and engaging with these incredible advancements, because the future is a team effort.
It's pretty amazing what they can do with this technology, and I think it really opens up a lot of possibilities for, things like animation and filmmaking.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, you could have like a virtual studio where
Yeah.
you can just like play around with all these different elements
Mm.
and create some really incredible stuff.
And not just entertainment. You could use it for like architecture or engineering or even like designing new products.
Oh yeah, I mean, imagine being able to test out a new bridge design
Yeah,
in a virtual environment before you actually build the real thing.
exactly. You could see how it holds up under different conditions, make sure it's safe.
And you could do it all without any risk or like real world consequences. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, and it would save a ton of time and money.
Absolutely. And speaking of, kind of pushing the boundaries of what's possible, what about the educational applications of this technology?
Oh, yeah. That's a really interesting area.
I mean, imagine if you could learn physics by actually experiencing it, like in a virtual world where you can interact with the laws of motion.
That would be incredible. It would make learning so much more engaging.
And make it easier to understand these complex concepts.
Yeah, because you wouldn't just be reading about them in a textbook. You would actually be seeing them in action.
Right. And you could experiment and play around with different variables.
And really get a feel for how things work.
This technology could totally revolutionize the way we teach and learn.
And it's not just about like formal education either. Think about all the people who could use this to learn new skills or explore new ideas.
Yeah, like anyone could create their own simulations or videos or even games.
And share them with the world.
It's a really powerful tool for creativity and self-expression.
And it really speaks to the potential of this technology to democratize knowledge and access to information.
Absolutely. And, another thing that's really interesting about this is the whole idea of personalized content creation. I mean, we've seen a lot of examples of this already with like, social media and stuff. But imagine a world where anyone could create their own custom-made videos or games or even like virtual reality experiences.
Yeah, it's like taking the power of Hollywood and putting it in the hands of everyday people.
Exactly. And it's not just about entertainment either. You could use this to create educational content or training materials or even just like, personal messages for friends and family.
The possibilities are endless.
And it really makes you think about how this technology could change the way we communicate and connect with each other.
Yeah, it's a really exciting time to be alive.
Absolutely. But, with all this talk about the amazing potential of this technology, We also need to be mindful of the potential risks and
Oh,
challenges.
definitely. I mean, any powerful technology can be used for good or for bad.
Right. And with AI in particular, there are a lot of ethical considerations that we need to be thinking about.
Like, how do we make sure that this technology is used responsibly? How do we prevent bias and discrimination? How do we protect people's privacy?
These are all really important questions, and there are no easy answers.
But I think the key is to have these conversations openly and honestly.
And to involve a diverse range of perspectives,
We need to make sure that everyone has a seat at the table when we're talking about the future of AI.
because this is something that's going to affect all of us.
Absolutely.
So we encourage our listeners to stay informed, to get involved in these discussions,
Yeah.
and to help shape the future of this incredible technology.
The future is in our hands.
Yeah, it really feels like we've been given this like amazing toolbox full of these, futuristic tools, and it's up to us to decide what we're going to build with them. It's kind of exciting, but also a little bit scary, don't you think?
Yeah, definitely. There's so much potential, but, we need to be careful that we don't create something that we regret.
Right, and that's why I think it's so important that this project is open source. It's like having this global brain trust where you have people from all over the world contributing their ideas and expertise.
Yeah, that kind of collaboration is essential. It helps to ensure that we're considering all the angles
Yeah.
and that we're developing this technology in a way that benefits everyone.
So, we've talked about a lot of really interesting stuff today about Project Genesis, the simulations, the potential impact on different industries, the power it gives to individuals. But as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the one thing you want our listeners to really take away from this?
I think the main takeaway is this. We're not just passive observers in this technological revolution. We all have a responsibility to shape the future.
Yeah, that's a really important point.
Whether it's through educating ourselves or thinking critically about these issues, or even just participating in these conversations, we can all make a difference.
Absolutely. So don't just be amazed by the cool technology. Dig deeper, ask questions, think about the ethical implications. The future is happening right now, and it's up to all of us to make it a future worth living in.
Well said. It's been a really fascinating discussion, and I hope our listeners are leaving with a sense of wonder and a newfound appreciation for the power of human ingenuity.
Me too. And on that note, we're going to bring this deep dive to a close, but we encourage you to keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep engaging with these groundbreaking advancements, because the future is a team effort.